Your child pulls away when you reach for them, or clings so tightly it feels impossible to leave. They want comfort, but seem unsure how to accept it. And quietly, a worry creeps in. What if this isn't just a phase? And what if research shows there's still a way to change the pattern, starting now? In 2024, researchers published a study in the Journal of Early Childhood Research that looked closely at how attachment patterns change over time. They followed young children and their caregivers, not in labs, but through everyday interactions. Moments of comfort, moments of stress, moments when things went right, and when they didn't. What they tracked wasn't perfection, it was responsiveness, how caregivers noticed distress, how they responded when a child reached out, and what happened after moments of misconnection. Here's the key finding. Children's attachment security shifted when caregiver behavior shifted. Not overnight, not through a single right response, but through repeated experiences of being met, soothed, and reconnected with over time. The study showed that attachment isn't a fixed trait a child either has or doesn't have. It's a pattern built through relationships, and when those relational patterns change, slowly, consistently, children adapt. Which means the most important question isn't, what attachment style does my child have? It's, what patterns are we practicing together? When we talk about fixing attachment, it can sound like something is broken, but insecure attachment isn't a flaw. It's an adaptation. Children do the best they can with the experiences they've had. And when experiences change, attachment can change too. Step 1. Notice the pattern without panicking. Some children reach for closeness loudly. They cry harder. They cling longer. They panic when the separation is coming. Others do the opposite. They pull away. They seem unusually independent. They stop asking for help altogether. Both patterns can look confusing from the outside. One looks needy, the other looks distant. And it's easy to misread both. A clingy child gets labeled as manipulative. A distant child gets praised for being so independent. But the research urges us to slow down before jumping to conclusions. These behaviors aren't personality traits, they're signals. They show how a child has learned to stay connected when things feel uncertain. A child who clings has learned that closeness isn't guaranteed, so they hold on tightly. A child who pulls away has learned that reaching out doesn't always lead to comfort, so they stop trying. Neither response is wrong. Both are attempts to cope. What the study highlights is that change begins with noticing patterns, not judging them. Noticing when your child reaches for you. Noticing when they hesitate. Noticing what happens right before and right after those moments. Do they calm quickly when comfort comes? Or do they stay tense even when you're there? Do they seek you out after stress? Or do they shut down? This isn't about diagnosing your child. It's about understanding what their behavior is communicating. Because once you see the pattern clearly, something important happens. You stop reacting to the behavior itself and start responding to the need underneath it. That shift from panic to curiosity is where attachment change begins. Next comes the part most parents never hear. Insecure attachment is often misunderstood because the behaviors look like something else. A child who melts down easily gets labeled as anxious. A child who avoids closeness gets labeled as independent. A child who swings between the two gets labeled as dramatic or difficult. But the research makes an important distinction. These behaviors don't come from who the child is. They come from what the child has learned to expect in relationships. Attachment behaviors change depending on context, who is present, what happened before, whether the child expects comfort to show up or not. That's why the same child can look confident in one setting and overwhelmed in another. It's not inconsistency, it's adaptation. When insecure attachment is misread as temperament or personality, the response often misses the mark. Behavior gets managed, feelings get redirected, but the underlying need stays unmet. The study highlights that attachment patterns shift when relational conditions shift, not when children are pushed to act differently, but when caregivers respond differently again and again. This matters because it changes the goal. The goal isn't to eliminate behaviors, it's to change the expectations behind them. Once you understand that, you stop asking, "What's wrong with my child?" and start asking, "What has my child learned about closeness?" That question opens the door to the next step, because noticing patterns is only the beginning. Step 2. Respond differently in the moment that matters. Not every moment shapes attachment, but some moments carry more weight than others. These are the moments when your child is distressed, when they're hurt, when they're overwhelmed, when they reach for you, or hesitate to. In those moments, most parents do what feels natural. They try to fix it quickly, they distract, they explain, they reassure with words. And none of that is wrong. But the research points to something more specific. Attachment security was linked to how caregivers responded in the moment of distress, not after, and not in theory. What mattered most wasn't saying the perfect thing. It was being emotionally available at the right time. Many parents miss this because the urge to calm things fast is strong. We want the crying to stop. We want the moment to pass. But when distress is rushed away, children don't always feel met. They feel managed. Sensitive responding looks different. It means staying present before fixing, letting your child feel that you're with them first. That might look like pausing before giving advice, getting down to their level, letting them feel your attention before offering solutions. The study showed that when caregivers consistently responded this way, children began to seek comfort more directly. They calmed faster over time. They trusted that reaching out would lead somewhere safe. This doesn't require long conversations. It requires timing. Comfort first, regulation second. And even when you don't get it right, something powerful still happens, if what comes next is repair. Step 3. Repair, reconnect, repeat. No parent responds perfectly, not in every moment, not even most moments, and the research makes that clear. Attachment security didn't improve because caregivers got everything right. It improved because they repaired when things went wrong. Misattunement is normal. You miss a cue. You respond too late. You get distracted. You lose patience. What matters is what happens after. Repair is the moment you come back, when you acknowledge the disconnect, when you re-engage, when you show your child that the relationship is still there. This might look like reconnecting after a tense moment, sitting close once emotions settle. Letting your child feel that distance didn't end closeness. The study highlighted that repeated repair builds trust over time. Children learn that connection isn't fragile. It can stretch, it can wobble, and it can be restored. That lesson changes behavior quietly. A child who trusts repair is less reactive, less anxious about mistakes, more willing to reach out again. Repair also teaches something deeper. That relationships don't depend on perfection. They depend on return. And when children experience that pattern again and again, attachment shifts. Not suddenly, but steadily. Because security isn't built from flawless moments. It's built from knowing that when things fall apart, someone comes back. And over time, that changes how children relate to the world around them. As these patterns repeat, changes start to show up quietly. Your child recovers faster after big feelings. They're more willing to try again after frustration. They move away from you with a little more confidence and come back without fear. Separation becomes less charged. Reunion becomes calmer. Closeness feels safer on both sides. The research points to these shifts happening gradually, not because children are pushed to be independent, but because they trust connection will still be there. Children begin to explore more freely. They ask for help when they need it. They don't have to work as hard to protect themselves. Security doesn't mean fewer emotions. It means emotions move through more smoothly. Over time, relationships feel less tense. Moments of distress feel more manageable. And your child's behavior starts to reflect trust instead of uncertainty. These aren't dramatic transformations. They're small, steady changes that add up. And they grow from the same place every time. Repeated experiences of being noticed, responded to, and reconnected with. That's how attachment shifts. Every child's path looks a little different. Progress isn't linear. Some days will feel easier than others. Attachment doesn't change because you do everything right. It changes because you keep showing up. If there's one place to start this week, let it be this. Notice one moment of distress. Pause. Respond with presence before problem solving. If this helped, like and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, what's one moment you want to handle differently next time?